It's here, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for my favourite weekly video. I know we've only done a couple now, but it's been a very long time since we started this series, all the way back at the beginning of 2018. It went away, it came back last week, and if you missed it last week, welcome back to the weekly Mailbox, your weekly Q&A here on my own channel. If you want to post your own questions, you can do so in the comments below. You can also do it on Twitter and also on the YouTube community feed. Later on in the week, I will put out a little bit of a notification, if you will. But this is a space where we talk about Formula 1. We talk about Formula 2, Formula E, any sort of motorsport, and if you're really that interested, people sometimes ask personal questions, and if your question is not answered in this video, then hopefully, I can't guarantee, but hopefully I have left you a written response. And if you want to send the same question in for next week, you can do. We've got 5 awesome questions, as always, today, in completely different fields. So let's start with the first question from F1 Aspect, and he asks, will you be uploading videos of you playing the new Formula 1 game? Love your channel, keep up the good work. So first of all, thanks man, appreciate that. In regard to the new Formula 1 game, yes, I will be posting videos, and it's something I dabbled in a little bit earlier on this year, last year is now, in 2018 when that game first came out. I did a career mode, started a career mode, put a lot of time into it, but at the time, A-levels, that was an important hurdle in my life at that particular time, so I didn't really have the freedom to do it. I'm hoping this year I've learned from that experience, and I'm hoping to do a career mode and with Formula 2 in the mix as well. That is right up my street. Also, I've mentioned this a few times, considering maybe doing some sort of league racing, maybe doing my own league. Yeah, I'm dabbling with a few ideas because I love the Formula 1 games. I know you guys don't know a whole lot about me outside of my YouTube channel, but I do love a bit of box, and I do love a bit of F1 2018. I'd like to think I'm okay at the game, but I haven't done league racing for a couple of years now, and I'd like to try it again, because I tell you what, when you can get a competitive league race, then it's pretty saucy, I'll tell you that. So that's what I'm playing around with at the moment, and some of you guys may know FoxyDude98, Formula 1 YouTuber on the gaming side of things. I did a subscriber championship with him quite a while ago now, so I'm thinking about maybe having a chat with him potentially. I used to do league racing with URL, still friendly with a few of those guys, so I might go back to that. It's all up in the air, so if you guys would like anything in particular, you can comment below, but at the moment it's nothing concrete, if I'm fully honest with you. But there seems to be a few of you guys wanting 2019. The game is looking awesome, I can say that much already, and we've only seen a few stills, but they finally added Formula 2 that I mentioned a little bit earlier on. Also, what a big smash on screen. Also, the graphics seem to have actually finally made a bit of a step up, which, don't get me wrong, they're not terrible at the moment, but it's something that I would like. You know, it's been a few years now since we've had a bit of an update on the old graphics, and of course, the black and gold Haas, that is right up my street. So yeah, F1 2019 content, expect to see it on the channel. The next question comes from Abysmal Luck. Who has been your driver of the year so far, and when will Grosjean score his first points this year? Well, typical that your name is Abysmal Luck, because that's what I'm going to put it down for with Grosjean this year. 3 retirements out of 4, 2 of those being technical issues on the car, 1 of those being a first lap, collision sort of caused by Lance Stroll, but I think that was a racing incident on that particular incident, and China was P11. But I want to first talk about driver of the season, and I suppose I'm going to take this more as the biggest surprise. On screen already you've seen pictures of Valtteri Bottas, and I think he's my candidate. I've got someone else in mind, but Bottas for me, I came into this year and got so much hate over the winter when I said he will stay in Mercedes for the whole season, he will fight for the championship. People laughed me off, and look at him now, leading the championship, 2 wins already, the most pole positions of anyone this season. He has smashed it, but also Lando Norris, I thought he was going to be alright. Thought he needed another year in F2, but how he has jumped into Formula 1 and instantly delivered on performance, I am stunned. I cannot deny I've been stunned with Norris this season. Again, I've been slated for British bias, but I think you cannot look past the fact that this guy has... I'm not going to say he's comfortably beat Sainz, because I think that's unfair on Carlos, who's had unlucky retirements himself, but I will say has definitely been a comfortable match for Carlos Sainz, which I did not expect whatsoever. And in terms of my boy Grosjean, he's had a difficult start, and that Haas car isn't looking great, so it's a real question about when they can get the tyres working. I'd like to say Spain. They look good in winter testing in Spain, so next time out, I'm going to be confident. I'm going to back my boy and say in the next race, Grosjean will get his first points of the season. Clat ER, a bit of a longer question, but a very different sort of question that I really enjoyed, so that's why it's in this video. It reads, "Hi Dan, really big fan here, sending regards from South Africa." And can I just say that I still find it bizarre that YouTube is just such a global platform. So hello to everyone around the world who is listening to this right now. Question: if you, Jonty, Sean and Stuart ran your own F1 team, who would be your lead designer, technical director, team principal and chief strategist? Keep up the good work, and I'm loving the F1, FE and F2 content. Well, thank you, Clat ER, very much. This comment actually gave me a really big boost, so thank you very much. It actually, yeah, I needed this one at the moment. Anyway, in regard to the question, if we had our own team, first of all, we'd be black and gold colours. I would make sure that's a thing. I would also make sure our drivers were Grosjean and Ericsson. I would make sure that was a thing. But it didn't take me too long to designate these roles, because I think Jonty's corner, he's got to be that technical director. I think that's his role. He's a welder by trade, but blimey does he know his stuff. Lead designer I'm giving to Stuart Chainbear. He seems to know his stuff on design as well. Just like Jonty, those two seem to have their heads screwed together. They just know exactly what's going on with that sort of thing. For me, if you follow this channel for a while, aerodynamics, not really my forte. I would say Sean, I would give him team principal, because he knows his stuff from Formula 1, and I don't think they'd really like a 20-year-old bossing them all around. So I'm happy to be the chief strategist. Something a little bit more fun. I'd also like to be livery designer, if I can throw that in there as well. But this gave me a bit of a laugh, a bit of a chuckle. So, yeah, thank you for that one, Clat ER. Right, back to Formula 1 then. How many tracks do you think should be on the Formula 1 calendar? This one comes from Edward Smith, regular viewer and commenter of the channel. This is another one I've got to think about a little bit, Edward, because a lot of the drivers, and if you listen to the drivers, they say that a 20-race calendar is perfect. We've got that summer break in the middle. They've got plenty of time over the winter. And I think people don't understand what goes on behind the scenes in Formula 1, even so much so as winter testing. People just forget that's a thing sometimes. So this year, the season ends in December. In February, we've got winter testing, so it's not a long break these F1 drivers have. People also have the perception that Formula 1 drivers only drive at the weekend, which I think, if you guys are following this channel, you'll probably know that's not the case. However, I think it should be more than 20 races. I personally think 25 sounds like a nice number. And I think somewhere between 20 and 25, I'm more than happy with that. You know, personally, I'd love to see a Grand Prix every couple of weekends. I'm not a big fan of the summer break, I can tell you that much. However, maybe the teams and drivers do need a bit of a gap. And I know from my time on YouTube last year, for a lot of people, that almost summer reset of going away from Formula 1 and coming back really helped them with motivation, with following the sport for the rest of the season. So, for me, 25 is my dream scenario, but of course I understand that a lot of people are just happy with 20. So yeah, hopefully that's answered your question quite nicely. And the final question comes from my boy Dan Philpott, a fellow Grosjean supporter, and he asks, if Grosjean for whatever reason lost his race seat at Haas, where would he go? Either another team or another series like Formula E. Bit of a Grosjean special today. Not intended, but I've got to answer questions about him, and I understand that there's not many Grosjean fans out there, and sometimes people just have to make sure I am sane, and I sometimes I think I am. Anyway, to the question from Dan. Now, if I'm fully honest, I look at the driver market, And if Roman does not stay at Haas, I don't really see another space for him, which, yes, it pains my heart. You know, I'm sobbing just thinking about it. But with all seriousness, I don't really see anywhere else because age is not on his side. His performance last season really dropped his share price by a comfortable amount. If he beats Magnussen comfortably over the rest of this season, then maybe you'll see potentially a team like Alfa Romeo. If Raikkonen leaves, they could pick him up. Maybe if, I don't know, someone like Perez moves on from Racing Point, potentially they could pick him up, but it's unlikely. It's unlikely, and I don't really see him moving to a top team, although, you know, in my opinion, he should. However, it's just unrealistic. So if he leaves, I would love to see him in Formula E. That would be perfect for me. Obviously, I love Formula E. Not as much as I love Formula 1, I would like to make that clear, but I think he'd fit in really well there. He would add a bit of drama. A little bit of class as well, in terms of, I've said a few times, I think Formula E just needs a few more of those ex-Formula 1 names in there to help push it forward a little bit more. But I think he'd do well in Formula E. So I'd love to see him there, but of course a lot of drivers go to IndyCar. Potentially that's a route he would go. I hope he does another cookbook. That would be great, because his first one is a bloody pain to buy, to find that somewhere. So that's what I'm predicting for Grosjean, and I hope he can go for Formula 1 for a few more years. He's expressed that he would love to keep going into his 30s, 40s, but if that's the case, I think he's really going to have to change that form around a little bit. But that's your lot for the weekly mailbox. It really, I love doing this. It's fantastic, and I love all your comments. And again, if your question was not answered, please go back and check, because hopefully I have been able to respond to your question. Next week, I'm aiming for Wednesday for this to come out, but keep an eye out on social media channels just for confirmation. But hopefully you have enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.